This is Richard with BWE Firearms, and in today's video I'm going to talk about converting an Uzi to submachine gun. Let me preface by saying this is meant to be for information only and to be used to convert a semi-auto Uzi to a submachine gun if you are a licensed FFL manufacturer with an SOT, 0702. If you are not at least an 0702, you cannot legally do this, so don't do this because you'll go to jail, and we don't want that. Okay, I'm going to start out with things that must be done to convert to a submachine gun. The first thing is the Sear. This bottom one, let's see, get it on my head where you can see it, is a submachine gun Sear. See that nice face there. The other one is a semi-auto Sear. It's cut much deeper. Switch to a submachine gun Sear. You can do it one of two ways. You can either just replace your semi-auto lower with a submachine gun lower. If you're going to use your semi-auto lower, one, you'll need to take the block, which is right here normally, this one's been taken out, and machine it out. That stop keeps the selector from going into the full auto position, like this. Safe, semi, full. So that's going to have to be taken out. The other thing you might run into is these pinholes. Let's see if I can get this where you can kind of see it. Okay, you can kind of see it there. This pinhole here. On the submachine gun lower, it is 8mm. On IMI semi-autos lowers, this is 9mm. So you got a couple of options. If your gun is set up with a 9mm pin. Some of the semi-autos, I think the Vectors are 8mm pins. The IMIs are definitely 9mm pins if they started life as a semi-auto. You can use a bushing in the grip lug. I sell them on my website. I'm out of them right now. I have both stake in and slip in. If it's a permanent conversion and you don't want to go back to a semi-auto lower, I suggest using the stake in bushing. If you want to go back and forth, use the slip-in bushing. The other thing you can do is if yours is 9mm and you get a submachine gun grip frame, you can drill out this hole to 9mm and just use the 9mm pin. It's far cheaper just to swap the lower at this point. I think lowers are about $70 for a complete submachine gun lower. So I would go that route instead of trying to dick around with it. The other thing you have to do is these Sear holes. This is semi-auto, this is full auto. You can see the full auto Sear holes are bigger. You need to open up the semi-auto if you're going to use a full auto Sear. The problem is if you don't, I don't know if it'll, well, that's the semi-auto. There is the full auto. If you don't, the Sear will not come through these holes and it will stick down and you'll get run-ons. So you don't want that. So open those holes up. That's kind of the only thing you have to do. From there, you have a couple of options how you want to convert the gun to full auto. One, you can remove the blocking bar from the semi-auto receiver, this right here. So you can see it pretty good right there. You can remove that blocking bar. That keeps a submachine gun bolt from going in the gun. The best way to do that is drill out these holes. You don't have to, you just have to drill them deep enough to get through the receiver. And then you can, the bar knocks right out. The IMIs, they're not holes like this, they're slots. You'll have to kind of do a little investigation and find the slots and mill them out, knock that bar out. Then you can either leave the semi-auto barrel in it, which is just fine, or you can convert it to a full auto spec barrel. If you convert it to a full auto spec barrel, you need to take the semi-auto ringed feed ramp out and put one of my submachine gun feed ramps in it. You also have to cut out the semi-auto trunnion, and I usually cut the welds here and here on both sides, knock out the semi-auto trunnion, put in a full auto trunnion, weld it back in. Then it'll accept full auto barrels. Just to reiterate, the top one, semi-auto barrel, there's no middle ring, restrictor ring here. It's turned down here, which the full auto is not. And on a semi-auto, this front ring is smaller than on the submachine gun barrel. And if you're converting it and you put it on a Form 2, you cut the barrel off or get a new barrel. If you can get a new barrel. Right now, barrel blanks are hard to come by. So once you do that, if you leave the semi-auto feed ramp in it, you will need to clearance the bolt. I think it'll show up. Not really well. If you look, this radius is opened up more. This is the submachine gun barrel. This one has been opened up to clear that restrictor ring. You'll have to go in and clearance that. The other option is to leave the receiver a semi-auto, leave the blocking bar in it, and cut this slot in a submachine gun bolt and register the bolt as a conversion part. You can see that one's registered. I've clearanced this area in here, and I've also cut it so it'll clear. It clears the restrictor ring, or the blocking bar, excuse me. It also clears the restrictor ring. What else do you need to do? Nothing. That's basically it. Uzis are fairly easy to convert to submachine gun. Again, don't do it unless you're licensed to do it. You know, unless it's the end of times and the zombie apocalypse and the government has fallen and yada, yada, yada. Then I guess it's okay to do it then because there's nobody around. Talked about the barrel, talked about the restrictor ring and the trunnion, talked about the blocking bar, talked about the bolts. And yeah, if you convert it to submachine gun specs, or you convert your semi-auto to full auto, it's a good idea to switch the top covers so it's a ratcheting top cover. The ratcheting top cover, when you cock it, keeps the bolt from slipping. If you slip off the cocking knob, it keeps the bolt from going forward before it's caught by the sear. because these are open bolt guns, so the whole bolt moves when you pull the trigger. That's the extent of converting one. You know, these bolts are hard as shit. They're 65, 55, 65 Rockwell, so they are hard as shit. I use a lot of carbide tools and a lot of coolant when I'm milling this out and when I'm cutting this slot. So just be prepared for that. They're hard as shit. It all depends on what you want to do, but that is pretty much how you convert one into a submachine gun from a semi-auto. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll try to answer them in the comments. I'm kind of new to all this stuff. Well, I've been doing videos for a long time, but they've sucked. And DLD After Dark and CRS Firearms are trying to get me on track and doing some decent videos. So that should be the extent of converting a semi-auto into a full auto. Again, don't do it unless you're legal to do it. I don't want to see any go to jail. Well, there's a couple that I'd like to see go to jail, but you know. All right, you have a nice day, and we shall talk to you tomorrow.